the game, you are already doing things that most people are not willing to do. These calls are designed to make sure they give you a guaranteed, thank you, a guaranteed ROI, a guaranteed return on your investment. Everything that you do with your time, everything you do with your money, everything you do with your energy, you need to be making sure it's giving you a return on your investment, because we do not have time to waste. And so before I just keep going on, I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to the man with the plan. He is a life transformational master educator. He is a life and a business coach. He has already helped over 15 touch a meal. He is a master private investor, money broker, financial advisor, land and community developer. He is the man with the plan. He is my everything. Martin Christopher Glenn.
All right, so
I need to
mute yours. Speaker. You sure? All right, now I need to cut my volume up. Is that volume? Let's go. All right. We good? Can everybody hear me? I'm assuming that they can. All right.
Yes,
everybody,
we can hear you.
All right, good.
I hear you.
All right, everybody. Let me let these folks.
Yes.
Good. You know, it's a blessing, pleasure, all that good stuff to have y'all on this call. Keep letting these folks in. Joining. See if somebody.
There's one more. They said, wait, one more. Okay,
yeah, so as Sabrina mentioned, the law of relativity, and you know we've been going for the past few months now. Each class, if you notice, we went through these universal laws. The universal laws will help you so much in life because it's just that, it's universal. The universal laws don't care where you at on the planet Earth, they apply to all of us. Whether we know it or not, we're governed by universal laws. So universal laws, once you really comprehend them and comprehend how universal laws work, you can master yourself and you apply it to yourself. So, you know, we went through the law of vibration, the law of action, the law of compensation. And if you know, all information that you take in, right? What happens is you apply it to what you already know. So it's all in relation. So the law of relativity deals with relation. And we're gonna get deep into that. So let me share my screen. Make sure so. All right, so entrepreneurship, this is the way, this is the key to solve people's problems. To be an entrepreneur, you got to know how to solve your own problems, and then you got to relate. So the law of relativity says is all about neutrality of things when seen in isolation. So no particular person, experience, emotion, or action is evaluated as good or bad until you look at it in comparison with something else. So in other words, everything is in relation to something else. Everything that we're dealing with deals with time and space, right? So how would you know if something's bad? You would compare it to what you feel is good, okay? So if you ever heard the term, it's all relative, that means it's all relative to you. It's all relative to how you perceive things, okay? Now, in order for us to function and excel and thrive, not just in business, but in society and in relationships, we have to understand this. Once you understand everything is relation to something, then you understand a person's actions, right, is in relation to his experiences, his thoughts, and what he knows. So So it's just like when you see a child, we got a habit of we see a little kid and they running in the store and they just grabbing stuff, they knocking stuff down. First thing most people say, wow, that's a badass little kid. But it's really all relative, because the child is only doing something based off of what he knows. If he doesn't have a mother or father who hasn't instilled in him, don't do this or don't do that, hasn't instilled some principle in him, he's just living, he's just reacting, right? So I always say, well, no, that child is not bad, he's just neglected, right? So it's all relative to how you look at things, okay? So we're gonna go through this and you're gonna see how, once you truly understand the law of relativity, how it goes with all of the other universal laws, the law of oneness, the law of vibration, the law of action, the transmutation of energy, how this relativity affects everything in your life, right? And you're gonna be able to, thought Will was in already, but I'm saying he's not. Right, and so let's get to it. My screen is acting crazy today. All right, so relative. Let's break down the word, right? The law of relativity, relative. We know, we think of a relative as like, you know, a brother or sister or whatever, and it is. So relative means considered in relation or in proportion to something else. It's in relation or proportion to something else. That's relative. That's literally what it means when we see the word relative. So of course the root of relativity is relative, in relation, okay? All right. Now, relative. If we say something is relative, right? We're saying if you say something is relative, you mean that it needs to be considered and judged in relation to other things. Okay. So if a child, they can't write and they are 14, 15 years old, normally most of us will say, wow, and that kid is slow, right? But if it was born with what we had, a disability, we would say, well, that's relative. That's in relation to cerebral palsy. That's in relation to whatever that disability is, right? So it's relative. It's in relation to that, all right? So just think about where you're at in life, in whatever aspect, whether we're talking about financially, whether we're talking about your information, you know, culturally, it's all relative in relation to the information that you have or you have been given. And if we've been brought up in an education system that didn't teach us our culture and didn't teach us true financial literacy, and they didn't even teach us economics, there's no wonder why so many of us are lost in both of those departments, right? And I left out the spiritual aspect too, because that's relative to us being born in the United States of America. We got benefits in other places, right? But internally, we're deprived due to the way they teach in the education system, right? So it's all relative to your experience, okay? Relativity. Right. All right. Everything is measured in relation to something else. Comparison. Comparison. All right. Everything is measured in relation to something else. Okay. So if I want to say, well, this guy on the street, he's poor, you know, and you look at him, it's freezing outside and he's walking around cold, your heart is going to go out to him. Okay. Because you're comparing it to yourself. I mean, you're in warmth, you know, you got a roof over your heads and you're looking at this guy and you say, wow, he's poor, right? He's doing bad. He's on the street. Okay. In relation to you and your situation now. So he can only think according to where he's at right now. You think according to where you're at right now. But you take that same guy in America that's homeless, and then you look at somebody in a third world country. Okay. They don't have homeless shelters, right? They don't have places that feed people like him. So this guy here, you think he's doing bad, But think about that guy in that third world country. That's a whole nother level. He might be in luxury compared to this guy. You go around the world and you look at some of their prison systems and they're like, man, I would come to America and just go to jail. So what you consider bad is good to somebody else. It's all relative to your experiences of what you've been through. Why does relativity matter to us? It definitely should matter to you as an entrepreneur, because you have to understand other people in order to make money. You have to understand other people in order to serve them. Money is made through service, okay? And so with your clients, you have to be relative or relative, okay? You got to be able to relate with people, okay? You have to be able to grasp that this person is in a position of need and you're providing a service, okay? So this person needs something from you. So I have to comprehend, study this type of person in order to relate with them better. All of this is relativity. All of this is a type of perception. In your relationship with your spouse, you have to understand them. Relative truth. Relative truth. Everybody says, you know, all I want is the truth. All I want is the truth. Relative truth. Truth isn't absolute, but a particular interpretation of what we see. These interpretations change person to person. That means truth is relative, right? Think about it. What you call the truth is what you accept. See, people say, well, the truth is the truth. No, the truth is based on who accepts it. Because if they say, well, the distance from the planet Earth to the sun is 93 million miles. Okay. But we know everything is always moving. So is that absolute? No, it's not absolute. What time is it right now? We started this meeting at 7 o'clock. Is that the truth? Everybody got on here at 7 o'clock. That's the truth, right? Not to the guy in New York. If somebody is on here right now, it's 8 o'clock to them. So what does that mean? Your truth is relative to you. And what you accept. I didn't want no puppets out here. Hit mute. If you're not on mute, please hit mute. So that truth is based on you, the person. And so now when you think about that, if you've ever seen Democrats, Republicans, they are arguing their hearts out, and they say, this is the truth. This is what the country needs to get to the next level. And they believe in all that. This is the truth. He's not telling the truth. The deficit is this. She's not telling the truth. The deficit. And then we might look at it and we fact check and say, well, both of them are right. But that's what you say is the truth. It's all relative. It's just like religion. People will argue down, this is the way, da, 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 da. You got to be like this way. We talking about the same book, you know. Supposed to be the same religion, but then we got different interpretations, right? Which produce Baptist, Methodist, Episcopalian, and they all say that this book is the truth, but how it relates to them, they take what it is for them. So truth is relative. Why does that matter? In order for you to succeed, and excel in society, then you have to be able to understand that people have their version of the truth. And then so we had to start operating off of intention as opposed to just trying to be right, saying this is the truth. Understand people have their own versions, beliefs of the truth. So truth is relative in that aspect, right? Because the truth, things change. It might be a fact right now. Next year, it won't be a fact when they find out there's another planet. If you find out there's another planet because we got better technology, then It was the truth this year when we didn't know no better. Now it changes now. So that changes, okay? And that's why truth, relative truth, is conditional, subjective, varying, and contradictory. So it's capable of changing over time. In contrast, absolute truth is consistent and eternal. Its meaning is universal and never changing. What's an absolute truth? If I take this bottle and I drop it, what's it gonna do? It's gonna hit the ground. If I'm on the planet Earth and I pick up something and drop it, it's gonna hit the ground. That's called gravity. It's the absolute truth of this planet. Doesn't matter where you at, you can be black, white, gay, straight, purple, orange, whatever. That is absolute. Okay. So if we as people understood the absolute universal laws and the oneness of us as a people, we wouldn't have so many differences because we will understand things are relative to people and their experience. And once you understand that, you'll be a better teacher, you'll be a better husband, you'll be a better wife, because you'll understand that people only react and respond based off of the information that they have. Based off of the information that they have. So it's all relative to them and their experience. But absolute truth is universal. It governs all. Everything is in motion. We're all governed by these universal laws. Whatever is always valid, regardless of parameters or context, that which pertains to universal law. That's absolute truth.
Only asking for you to
Okay? Whatever is always valid, regardless of parameters or context, that which pertains to universal law. Hit mute if you got on.
Hit mute, Mike.
The three of us would
Mike.
I don't have time for this today.
Let me mute him.
If you'll recall, I was invited to Shogun.
I control this thing. I have absolute control. Nah, so understand that there's absolute truth and there's relative truth. Okay? Relative truth, if enough people accept something, they're gonna say this is the truth. If I write a book and I write such and such, this happened, it's true that my book says that, but it's not absolute truth. It might be some garbage, right? But it is true that the book says it. But that's not absolute. I can't force other people to live just according to what I'm saying, right? That's not using the law of relativity. Relative truth examples. I'm standing still. Just think about that. Right now, are you sitting still if you're sitting right now? Why wouldn't we be sitting still if we're sitting here, right? For one, we're on a rock called the Earth that's constantly moving. So that's relative, because if you outside of the planet, it's moving, right? We're actually moving. It's just we're trapped, and we're dealing with a certain level of gravity. So we think we're still, but we're actually moving, right? It's this time right now, like we went over. It could be 7:30 to us here, 8:30 New York, 12:30 in Ghana, Africa, whatever, 2:30 in Europe at the same time, but we might all be on this Zoom. So that is a relative truth. And to understand and to work with humans, we have to understand what governs us doesn't govern them. All right. A relative truth is, if I go to California, I can walk around and smoke weed. That's legal to them. Here, it's not, right? So these are things that people accept. I love everything about him or her. That might be the truth right now. But if anybody's ever been divorced, that we know that wasn't absolute. It was some type of condition. Like, I love him, but man, I don't even love her no more. I don't love him no more. Da 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 da. Right. So these are relative. This is the word of God. I know this is the word of God because this is what worked for me. You can go on all over the planet right now. You're gonna find different people of different religions that are all gonna say that. That's relative to them and their experience. Yeah, it worked for you, man. I tried it. It ain't work. That church ain't work for me. This or that. Right. But for us to work together as humans, we have to understand that's relative to him. So it's okay. Let him speak his mind. It's all relative. We ain't got to be arguing and fighting. Right? As long as we understand the universal law, you know, what's that, man? You shouldn't impede upon another man. Don't kill nobody. Right? Don't steal. That's impeding upon someone else. That's a violation of universal law. Yeah, there's a consequence for that. Right? So these are relative truths. It's all formulating. It's gonna get you somewhere, and you understand how you have to take this and apply it to your life. So we see 3 images here of black man. Okay, which one is the thug? Can't see nobody's faces, but I'd love to see who's which one is the thug? Who'd you say? Sabrina said the one with the suit is the thug.
In the suit.
I figured that.
LaQuisha said the same thing.
That's the real thugs. They were in suits, right? Now, if I was to go to, you know, another side of town and talk to people that probably aren't black, let's be honest, who would they say is the thug?
Black wife beater.
The guy in the we call it, people call it a wife beater. That's sad that he got that title, man. It's really like a tank top. They were just trying to say all wife beaters wear that, but anyway, that's another story.
You wear those,
But
right?
yeah, I don't get you. So people would look at this and they would say, okay, that guy is the thug. Why is that? Because it's relative. It's in relation to what they've been programmed with. So if all I've ever seen is black men are prisoners, they're thieves, they're drug dealers, I'm going to look at them and I'm going to look at this image and relate it to what my programming is. Okay. But if I was to take one of them and isolate them, I don't have anything to put relation to. I'm just, well, that's a black man.
Yeah.
So people in society in power and people in society without power are all dealing with that law of relativity. You and I are dealing with the law of relativity. Everything you see, feel, come in contact with, you have to relate it to something. So when we're talking about educating people through entrepreneurship and educating children and raising them, right, we have to put in the proper information so that they will relate with an image of success. If not, then they will only do this. They'll see a black man and their mind will say, okay, thug. And we do it, we all do it, right? We all have to relate something. This is law. Everything you do has to relate to something. What does that mean? Because everything has a foundation. It's all programming. And that's what the mind does. It connects something. It finds some form of connection. If you're black and you're a black woman and you go to a meeting and there's 100 people in there and there 97 of them are white males, who are you gonna go stand next to? You're automatically gonna seek out who?
That one black person.
That black person. Because you're trying to relate. This is a law of relativity. You naturally want to relate to something. So our problem in society is we haven't been given things of a higher vibration so we can relate to them. Our problem is so many people say this now, I'm speaking my truth. Accept it. And they don't understand that truth is relative. Most people that have, we went over last week, identification, we talked about the victim mindset. Victims always tell you what happened to them. They always say, man, you don't understand, this happened to me. My daddy, my such and such, my husband, my ex, this happened to me, as if other humans don't experience what they experience. All human experience can be experienced by another human. So these are people who don't understand the law of relativity. They think they should get an award or some special privilege or special or entitled or get a pass because they went through pain. All humans will go through pain. This is universal law. So the law, once you understand the law of relativity, you start to develop. Okay? It starts to transform you. It works in every aspect, with a father, with his son, with a mother, with the son, daughter, with you and your relationship. Once you understand that, wait a minute, this person is reacting this way and doing this because this is their whole experience. They ain't never been loved. They don't even know how to love. So let me just listen and say, okay, this is relative to you. Let me calm down and ask the questions. Let me be empathetic, right? Let me figure you out. Let me get in your shoes and say, okay, if I was a woman and this and that, oh wow, that's why she was reacting that way. If I was a man, this or that, that's why they're reacting that way, right? Because that is the truth to them. And if we're going to do something together and unify, whether it's a personal relationship or a business relationship, we have to understand that law of relativity. Identification, relation. How you identify yourself is relative to your beliefs and your experiences, right? Relative, relative, it all relates. So however you identify yourself is based on how your beliefs and your experiences, how you're relating with them. Okay, so a woman that says, well, I'm a battered woman, and she just constantly says that, and she introduces herself, I'm a battered woman, or I'm a single woman. You're speaking this because you're living based off of your experience, and we shouldn't do that. I'm a strong woman that overcame this, right? So it didn't happen to me, it happened for me. Okay. So you can't identify with the negative issue because you're going to dwell there. So when we're talking about manifestation, we're talking about relativity. How do you relate to it? First thing I say when people get into business, what do you want out of the business? And I want to be rich. Well, how do you relate with rich people and wealth? And if they say, well, rich people, they be doing this or that, and they say it in a negative connotation, you're going to be forever poor. Mm-hmm. Because you relate with those that are rich and wealthy in a negative aspect. And so naturally there's a fear there. So you're going to repel every opportunity that comes your way. Okay? So that's the importance of financial literacy. And wealth is not just financial. Last week when we went over what the government says is poverty, and it was, somebody making 15,000 and less. That's what the government says, right? Because if you own your own land or you have some assets, the less money you need. So then you're dealing with wealth, and the first form of wealth is a spiritual wealth. And we all got that. So we're all rich and all wealthy. We just got to learn how to transmute that energy into the physical world. And that's what this stuff is about. But you can't do that if you can't relate with other humans. So the question is, how to advance your life using the law? It's simple. Change your point of view. So how do I advance using this, what you're talking about? You got to change your point of view. Well, how does that look and how does that sound? Right? Perspectives or points of view. Two people can see the same thing in totally different ways from their own perspective. We might want the same thing, but you looking at it from this way and I'm looking at it from that way. Democrats, Republicans. I'm conservative, I'm liberal. And they say it as if that's like they're the enemy over there. But they all pledge allegiance to the United States and to the republic for which it stands. They all pledge allegiance to the same republic. But if you hear them talk, you think this is they think they God and they think he the devil and he think he God. He think they like there's no middle ground. And then they push this on us and we adopt this crazy way of thinking. I think somebody's. Yeah. See, they be coming in so late. And they adopt this crazy way of thinking, right? Not realizing two people can see the same thing in totally different ways from their own perspective. Anybody ever been on a train? You can just raise your hand. You've been on a train. If you sat on a train, you just sitting still on the train. You ever watch the train go by? To the person on the train, I'm sitting still on the train. But if I get off the train and the train moving, I see my wife, my kids or whatever, they sitting still, but they moving. So am I still or am I moving? It's all relative to my point of view. It's all relative to your position or your point of view. Your point of view will change when you either step in that situation or step outside of it. So, people that's having relationship issues and relationship, the key word is to relate. Why do I need a counselor? Why do I need? Because I need somebody that's got a different point of view. They ain't in this mess. They see us and they'll sit down and go, I see y'all problem. Y'all ain't even listen to each other. You saying the same thing. You just wanted to be your way and you wanted to be that way. Do you want the issue solved? So you need somebody, another point of view. Okay? Now, think about that, how that changes your life when you start looking at things from other perspectives, other points of view. You start to grow, you start to change, you start to transform. How to practice the law of relativity. When someone has a different idea about something, or you have some limiting belief crop up, instead of becoming angry with them or with yourself, you can say to yourself, it's all relative. Let me put this thing into perspective. That's an interesting point of view. Sometimes people they'll say some stuff, I'm like, wow, I don't agree with that at all in my mind at that point right now. But I say, I can tell by her movement or his movement, this or that, wow, he really believes that, wow. I said, well, it's all relative. Because if I want to get somewhere, I got to listen to you. When somebody comes in your office and they're a raving lunatic and they're complaining about whatever product you sold them. If anybody here has products they sell or whatever, or if you're the person on the phone and you take the calls of complaints and people just raving on the, man, y'all company is this and that. You just listen. It's all relative, you know. Somebody in the waiting room. He keep coming in and out. Oh, okay. I don't know how to do it from here now. Something done happen. Come back to him. Y'all. All right. So everything you have to learn to say is all relative. Let me not judge this person. It's all relative to them and how they're viewing this thing. Okay, so perspective. If somebody says, look, America is a country that's unfair to its citizens and the country is falling apart. Some people on here might believe that. You watch all these different news networks, you know, you might believe that, right? That's a perspective. Is that true or false? A citizen of the United States will probably say that. Why? Because we're in this country and we're like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be a country like this. And we might say this is hypocrisy or the laws are supposed to be like this. A citizen would say that. But what about somebody that's dying, jumping over bridges and barbed wire and swimming in water to get into the country, an illegal immigrant? Do you think they would agree with that? America's unfair to the citizens falling apart. They'll be like, man, they got food stamps. The government give them money if they ain't making enough money. What? They got Medicare. They pay for you to have babies, this and that. What? They got an opportunity. You can just start a business. Wait a minute, their government gives them grants and loans. Man, let me get the hell up out of Mexico. I got to get to America by any means necessary. Perspectives, right? When you want to advance, you got to learn to look at everybody, look at things from a different perspective. You know, when I said, man, look, if I get married again, that's it. I had to learn to look at something from someone else's perspective and say, wait a minute, she wants the same thing I do. Let me just shut up and listen for a minute, right? Because we're trying to get somewhere. Business. We're all in some form of business. We got tax people on here. We got car sale people. We got sculptors on here. We got real estate investors. We got people that deal with kids. We got all type of different business owners on here and aspiring business owners and people starting a business. Look at this, perspectives and business. Look how the law of relativity takes this, right? If someone works for you, you have to understand the employee's perspective as the owner. All right. Why? The employee has his perspective. An employee understands this. I'm going to be there for 8 hours and you're going to pay me. I do a job. I get paid. They have a perspective that has no responsibility, but they have a perspective that says I must be there. They do have a responsibility. They have a responsibility to be there. That is their responsibility. Show up, do your job, get paid. Okay. And a lot of employees have a thing where, you ever been in the store and you ask them, you say, excuse me, man, what hour is that on? And she just turn her nose up at you. She's like, I'm a cashier. You need to ask one of them. From her perspective, she like, when I signed, I just said I was going to be a cashier. I'm not a stock boy. I don't know where that is, right? So she's only dealing with a limited perspective. But she probably will be the first one to be fired, and she's expendable. There's a lot of people that could just come there and sit on the clock, but that is her perspective. If she wants to grow, she has to go to the next phase. Something needs to shift in her as a manager perspective. She has to say, well, I want to be a manager, right? But her relation in thinking, somebody trying to get in? That's the same, okay. The key in there. So her relation is all relative to her experience as an employee. If she's never read nothing about being a manager, she's not going to do no more. But like I tell all people, if you have a job, the way to move up is to do more than what is asked of you in life. If you do more than what's asked, what law is it?
It's a universal law.
It's a universal law. If you do more than what's asked of you by default, you get more than what you even wanted, right? But now, an employee perspective, he might say, man, the business is going good. I don't know why they fired me. I'm there every day on time. He only sees through one perspective, right? The manager's perspective is everything's going good. We got customers coming in. That's the manager perspective. He's just managing the people over him. What's the owner perspective? The owner is the like he sees it all. He's like, yes, everybody's coming on time. I got a good manager, but we're not getting enough sales. So I'm going to sell this business. So you come into work as an employee and you find out, the plant is shutting down. And you're like, man, what's going on? I'm at work all the time. Well, it ain't you. The owner, he see it differently. He said, we ain't making enough sales. He's looking at it from a different perspective. So in order to advance in life, you have to learn to look at things through different perspectives. Relativity. How does this relate to me? So my manager, if I want to move up, then I need to start looking at how does my manager look at me showing up late all the time? How does my manager look at me always having an excuse? Well, you don't understand. I'm late because my baby mama, she didn't do this, or my baby daddy didn't do that, or this or that, or I ain't got a car, this or that, right? All they know is they're at the perspective of this job has to get done, right? So your problems are relative to you and your experience. So the manager would say, look, I've been there. I had baby mama, baby daddy issues too. What you got to do is move like this. So we got to learn to shift our perspectives. And remember, all of us are in relationships. You're in a relationship with everybody in your life, with your kids, your husband, your wife, your boss, your employee, your landlord. Everything is relationships, period. So the key to this wealth that everybody talking about is how do I govern and control these relationships? It's understanding the law of relativity. How does this relate to me? Relationships. How do you relate with others? Relate. The key in relationship is to relate. The law of relativity. Law of relativity is the law that requires challenges and failure in exchange for higher vibrations and a beautiful life. It requires challenges and failure in exchange for higher vibrations. Think about that. Challenges and failure is what it requires. Why? Because that is how we grow. People that's been married for years, if you sit down and you say, man, how did y'all do it? How y'all do it? We went through a lot together. They're going to tell you about their challenges. They're going to tell you about their failures. You talk to somebody that's had a business for 10, 15 years, man, how'd you last that long? Man, I went through some tough times. They're not trying to discourage you. They're telling you, you got to be willing to go through it. Once you go through it, what do you say? You get a higher vibration and beauty in life. Okay? That's what the law of relativity says. Growth, change. As we grow, our perceptions of reality change. As you grow intellectually, financially, spiritually, it's no way the world looks the same. Why? You're looking at it through a different lens. The way a man views women in his teens shouldn't be the same way he views it in his 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Right? Because you should have grown, vice versa. Your business, if you start business early in life, you're going to look at business totally different. The way I look at business is nowhere near how I used to look at it 25 years ago. I just thought it was just about making money. It's about relationships. It's about understanding humans. It's about understanding when somebody dies, they owe you money, but then somebody dies. Or you got an employee and they have a death in their family, or COVID happens. Okay. It's all about relationship, growth, change. going through uncomfortable things. This is our pathway to entrepreneurship. This is our pathway to financial freedom through understanding these universal laws. These laws are universal. They govern us whether we like it or not. Okay, so take this in and realize that everything is relative. It's all relative. Everything that you're going through is in relation to something. What's the first universal law? It's the law of divine oneness. That law says what? No matter how you feel, we all connected. So everybody on here, if you're a spiritual, if you're a human being, what's inside of you is a spirit. It can take on any form. So we're all connected, right? So for you to grow your business, Sabrina, how we make money?
Through people.
Through people. For you to grow your business, you got to learn how to relate with people.
People always saying like, oh, I don't care if people don't like me. I don't care what people think about me. Oh, I don't like people and all of that. But if you are always in that state of you don't like people, you don't care if people like you, then you always going to be broke, because people only give you money when they like you. It's not about you having the best product. You can have the best product, but if you have a negative attitude and you don't treat me well, you're not getting my money.
That's right. How do you relate with that person? This is how you grow as an entrepreneur. So wealth is all through service. Everything comes through providing a service. And if you relate, if you get one or more people that relate with whatever you want to do in your vision, you start this chain reaction. It's called the mastermind concept. If you get one or two more people come together with you for that same vision, it's nothing but beauty is going to take place. You got to relate with somebody, right? Like we said before, what is the real meaning of economics? When you Google, research, the real meaning of the word oikonomia is what it is, and it means household management. Oikonomia, from the Greek and the Latin. It means household management. That's the true meaning of economics.
What do you mean?
Household management. Household management is what it means. So if it's about relations, relating in relationships, then you have to manage your household. The way you manage that household is relativity, understanding each other. Okay. So these are the keys to real wealth. We could talk about money all day, but if you can't relate with people, you ain't never gonna make no money. A good book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. How you gonna relate with people? People like you. If somebody likes you, they spend money with you. You could be whatever, have a great product, but if people don't like you, I mean, they don't want to spend their money because they don't want to see you with the money. I don't like him. Something about him. I'm like that sometimes. We all get like that sometimes, right? But if you develop yourself, if you take this information and you apply it and you study these universal laws, right? Even these classes, they should be studied. So our problem is we're not students. It's just like a book, right? Somebody said, man, there's a Bible in everybody's house. And, if I was to ask people that have the Bible in the house, how many of them actually read the whole book? Very few. But then if I would really ask you, say, you read it? Yeah, I read it. Okay. You read it or do you read it? See, do you study it? You see? So if something is important to you and you know there's a lesson in it for you, you don't read it, you study it. Bob Proctor, before he died, he always walked around with a book and he said, man, this book is raggedy. And what's the Napoleon Hill book? Think and Grow Rich. He said, this is my Bible. That was his Bible. He said, man, it's the same one that's raggedy. Man, I'm always studying. I've been reading it for 60 years.
He was still getting something new at 60.
Right. Still, you're always going to get something new out of something that's worth something. So these classes, your classes, study. They're to be studied. Study them. Okay? Because you got to constantly develop. Self-mastery is not something you did. No, it's something you do. This is work that I constantly do, you constantly do. And these are the keys to our wealth. Okay? So we talk a lot about money, but it's not to get rich, it's to be wealthy. And so we have to be wealthy first, mentally, spiritually. Then we transmute it into the physical sense. Because if you get a lot of money fast and you're not developed, what that book say, fool and his money gonna always part. Because you're not developed. So this is why we do this, and we go through these laws, universal laws, mastery, apply this in your business, apply this, everybody in here is in a service business. You know, apply this to your employees, your business partners, be more relative, understand people's position, where they come from, how they got there. Is it saying meet them where they're at, right? If I meet you where you're at, my intentions is for us to bond and to grow, right? But we have to be relative. Study that law of relativity. All these universal laws, this stuff should be studied, you know, and put it in your life and watch your life blossom. If it's money you want, watch how your money starts to duplicate. If it's just more spiritual wealth, watch it start to work. If it's more family, if you want a better relationship, and whatever you want, if you apply these things, you will grow and your life will grow. That's why it's called self-mastery. Hey, that's what we covered today. I know some of the laws they get because they can get so scientific, but science is everything and science is life. And so, you know, I hope you gain something from it and apply it to your everyday life. Something, anything you want to add, Sabrina, or any comments?
Well, just like how you were saying, how we always got to be growing, we always got to be adopting new perspectives of things. Because who was that said a man that sees life at 40 the same way he did at 20 wasted 20 years of his life?
20 years of life, yeah. I can't remember who said it, but yeah, it's so true.
And so if you are still seeing things and you're 40 years old as the same way you seen them when you was 20 years old, and you literally wasted 20 years of your life. You didn't do anything to grow. You didn't do anything to make yourself better. And so like, if you were one of those people that you feel like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna keep it real. This is who I'm gonna be. I don't care how old I get. This is how I am, because this is keeping it real. But I'm just letting you know that's cool. And that may work for your homeboys in the hood, but keeping it real gonna keep you broke. Because if you're gonna keeping it real, and like he was saying, it's relative. And so the realness is only relative for your mindset today. The realness is only relative for the woman or the man that you is today. But 5 years from now, when you have grown and you've been through some stuff and you starting to see things differently, that realness, you're not gonna feel the same way. You're going to be like, oh, I thought that was truth, but that's not truth. And so a lot of the times we say, oh, I'm just keeping the truth because this is who I am. That's not even truly who you are. You're keeping it real with toxic behavior. You don't even know who you are, so you can't be keeping it real. You're really keeping it fake, because the real you is God. The real you is the creator. The real you is source energy. The real you is love. The real you is all. The real you is just divine, pure energy. It's like, and so therefore a lot of us don't understand exactly who we are. And so a lot of times keeping it real is keeping us in toxic situations. It's keeping us in a low vibration. It's keeping us in a space that we keep manifesting the same thing. And so therefore being able to relate from things from a different point of view. That's why it's big on getting on these calls or getting around people that make you think thoughts that you never thought. Reading books that make you just expand your awareness, because the more you expand your awareness, you start to see things differently. And when you start to see things differently, you start to attract things differently, because that's the law of attraction. Is you are going to attract things that's just like you. And so things are only appearing the way it is because of how we feel about it. It's our perception. And so a person that says everybody is fake, everybody is a liar, everybody is this, or everybody just so messed up, I don't trust nobody, it's because you don't trust you. It's not because everybody else is a perception or a projection of you, because we only meet ourselves. And so therefore you cannot manifest somebody you can trust until you learn how to do it for you first, because people are only reflecting back to us what is going on inside of us. And so that's why I'm passionate about these calls, because I want to keep growing. I want to just keep expanding my awareness, because I want to keep I want to make sure that by the time I'm 50, I want everything that I'm saying now to be a lie. I want to grow so much that I'd be like, oh, I thought I knew something then, but I knew nothing at all, because I'm a person that always seeking the new, always seeking like, okay, how do I get to the next level? And so keeping it real is really keeping you in a victim mind state. But other than that, I just feel like this call was amazing. I'm so grateful for it. I feel like I understand this law even more than I thought I knew, before. And so thank you for this. I'm honored. Any questions? Anybody? Is there anything that he was saying that somebody didn't agree with, or they just need to be able to, like they just want to be able to get a better understanding of it? Anybody got anything they want to say to Chris? Any problems in your business that you feel like, like you just need advice on right now? Because these calls, we here to help each other.
Thank you, LaQuisha. That's it. Yeah.
Thank you for your time. Okay.
You.
Nobody got questions?
Yes, I got a comment. It's just kind of piggybacking off what Chris was talking about when talking to people. Like I got a business partner here that, on the construction company side, he told me about a conversation he was having with this investor on a pretty much probably like a multi-million-dollar housing development. We should be working on getting in Frisco, Texas. It's like the richer part where like Dallas Cowboy players stay and things of that nature. And so I think the investors kind of getting where they want us to like sit by and wait by the phone, and when they call, we jump. And so he was saying like he didn't really hold back. I mean, when he was talking to the guy, but he wasn't tactful with it. He was kind of more jagged and like. And he was saying the guy said we can't get on the same page, but he could have been more tactful where the guy, would be like Chris said, people want to pay you just because they like you.
Yeah.
You got to know what you're doing. You know what I mean? They still pay you.
Yeah.
And versus we're gonna do good work and build like 62 homes from the ground up. We're gonna do a good job building a home from the ground up, but well, we don't like Cam. We don't like another guy named is Cameron too. He's like, well, we don't like how Cameron was talking to, and so I gotta figure out how we can smooth that over and like show him how to be more tactful with his words and still be himself.
That's right.
And instead of talking to the investor, like, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I mean, this is a multi-million-dollar opportunity to
How to relate.
to build a relationship with people that's, so it's a pretty big project. So yeah.
Yeah. Nah, that's a very good example of how you got to know how to relate. Yeah, that's
I mean, we still want their business. We still, they call us and talk to us about giving us the project, but we still want their business. Even people with that got that type of money and that type of they're gonna have an ego. That's just for a lot of people that's gonna come with territory. I wouldn't say that's natural. I would say that comes with territory for some people. So you gotta play chess with them with your words and with their mind. You know what I mean? And so yeah.
That's very good. Very good example and good point. Yeah, that's extremely good. Yeah, we gotta know where we stand in the relationship, you know, especially if you need some
I
money.
want to say one thing that stood out to me. I feel like Chris put this Zoom together, and he was talking to me specifically because we actually just had a conversation where I was saying, you know, in my development, in my growth, you know, I've grown so much over the last 10 years. There's a certain type of people that I prefer to deal with, but then at the same time, I know that we have to in business, we have to deal with a lot of different people. And like I learned tonight with this law is that, you know, we have to be relatable to where people are in their life. You know, just because LaQuisha has grown doesn't mean that the growth has taken place in their life. And so once we can be relatable, we can still do business. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's what I'm understanding. So I feel like I've been sent out in the congregation today, and the pastor was talking to me.
Yeah, I mean,
but thank you guys for that information, because that's very valuable when it comes down to dealing with people, you know, and your relationships in business.
More than welcome. Yep. You know, that's how the universe aligns it. You know, that's what it is. It just always hits us when we need to hear it, and we all need to hear it. You know, I need to hear it because we always dealing with people. So.
That's it.
Yeah.
Blessed family, let me say something real quick. I just want to say thank y'all so much. Listen, these universal laws we can't go wrong with. I don't care what you done heard, what you thought. When you're teaching those universal laws, it shifts your life. Listen, and I can tell you over these few classes, y'all, I am not the same person. I feel like I am a totally different person today than I was last week, and let alone last month. You breaking down these universal laws in the way that you're doing it, you giving it to us a way that we can receive it, a way that we can regurgitate it and walk in it. So I am very much thankful for you, all the work that you guys are doing. Listen, I know y'all hear me when I get on here, okay? And I know, listen, what we can all say is these classes are relatable. All right. Now, if you haven't already invested in yourself, you already are investing in yourself by showing up. So thank you. Pat yourself on the back for showing up for you. Okay. It's a lot of our people still out who are not taking the time to invest in themselves. We're not showing up for ourselves, but you took the time out today at this designated time to show up for you to receive this valuable information and these strategic steps on being your best version of you. Listen, if you haven't already, shout out to you for these free classes. Invest in the memberships, okay? Because we know that these memberships are to grow us, are to grow for our future, to grow for our children. So if you haven't already, please go to the Masternomics website and invest in you, invest in us, okay? Because it's when we come together, we're able to do a thing together. So thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for y'all teachings. Thank you for all that you had to endure, teachers, okay? Thank y'all for the message, because I feel so good. I feel like every time I get on here, I'm actually around a group of people that are like-minded and like-spirited, okay? Where I can just be me and I can receive what I need so that I can be better for not only myself, but for us, okay? Because it's an equal give and take. So again, thank y'all. I'm excited. So excuse me, I don't want to keep running my mouth because I will. I love y'all.
It's a blessing.
Bless it.
Yes, thank you. You know, we always need your good energy. Yeah. She got that upbeat energy.
And Brittany just posted the link to the memberships. Yeah. And so these memberships is a 3-part membership. Kristen wants us to talk about the membership because he's updating them. So he's adding more to the memberships. Yeah. But hey, I can't help but to talk about it because the queen just got done like motivating me about them all over again. Yeah. And so like the memberships is like, it's a Masternomics, which is about financial literacy, economic empowerment. We got Seed of Life, which is spirituality with I'm talking about he's going to be breaking down spirituality in a way that is going to it's going to trigger some people, I'm telling you. But you need to be able to think of thoughts you never thought before. And so then we also have the Phoenix Cultural Movement, which is about how we got the 72 acres of land and how we're going to be building our own and we coming together to be self-sufficient For ourselves, by ourselves, because of ourselves, through ourselves, however you want to put it.
And be on the lookout. So everybody on here, if you're a member, even if you're not, we got your information. So it's gonna be a beautiful update to all the membership. You're gonna get it.
He haven't even told me what it is yet. So I'm over here like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. We gonna grow this thing, y'all. I love y'all. We're a little over time. So love, peace. We're gonna be right back here next Thursday.
Yes, and thank you to all the new faces. Grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And go to the YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube, and share the information too.
And all the previous classes is on YouTube as well. So go back and check those out, because I'm telling you, all of these classes are going to add value to your life to help you upgrade your life so you can manifest a personal and professional life that you desire.
All right, till we meet again. Peace.
Deuces.
Deuces.
All right, Coco.